Hey everyone, it's me, Goku. Don't forget to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming. Here you'll find the latest Dragon Ball news and content. Also, don't forget to like the video and follow Unreal on both Instagram and Twitter.
Kakarot! You, Kakarot, you will be the first to turn on notifications. And give this video a like right now, or else I'll destroy you!
With Dragon Ball Super Manga chapter number 104 now officially in the history books, we now finally have the Dragon Ball Super manga return after nearly having to take off a year in its hiatus, with the story in and of itself now having to return for a one-shot special in showcasing the birth of Saiyaman X1 and Saiyaman X2. The million-dollar question now moving forward is, will this inevitably come into play by having to have this be something that is showcased within the next major arc in Dragon Ball Super, and how exactly are the events involving Goten and Trunks becoming superheroes going to affect the story moving forward later on? As a quick little reminder before we go any deeper into this video, if you just so happen to be new to the channel and of course have a love and passion for all things Dragon Ball and anime related, then I do encourage for you guys to go on over and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon to never miss a single video that is posted onto the channel, as well as making sure to go on over and smash that like button down below. And if you would like to learn more and catch up on all of the previous Dragon Ball Super manga chapters that have led us to this very moment in this story right now, then be sure to head on down into the description box below and check out the official Dragon Ball Super manga chapters playlist for tons of additional content and information. So with all that out of the way, I want to thank you all so much for your time, thank you all so much for your support, and now let's dive straight into the video. We kick off Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 104 in space, with several invading aliens now making their way towards Earth as a new threat seemingly approaches, to which it was only just upon with all of these aliens now being shown touching down on Earth and causing havoc all throughout the landscape, the invading forces that just so happen to have touched down actually hate the planet for being too clean, which their primary sinister goal is to do as much harm to the planet by causing pollution and dirtying up the planet as possible for their own sake of having to inhabit it, which didn't really go as far as to last very long, because to the unfortunate dismay of these polluting aliens, it was only moments after their initial invasion where planet Earth's mightiest superhero known as Clean God had then gone as far as to make his arrival by introducing himself by stopping these aliens in their tracks, as Clean God went on to then quickly shout, "That's far enough, Dirty Mad, and just who in the world are you?" "Who am I?" Clean God responds, "I am the one who scrubs out evil, for I am the Clean God." To which, ironically enough, as all of this was shown going down, to which it turned out to be nothing more than a movie that Goten and Trunks were watching. As the boys were seemingly watching this movie just before school, it turned out that Goten was seemingly way more excited than Trunks was in having to watch all of this go down, as Trunks went on to then quickly respond, "Oh geez, how lame. What will go and happen to the Clean God now?" the movie announcer went on to then ask. "Will he be able to defeat the Dirty Mad and save Earth? Now for a special announcement. Will he be able to defeat Dirty Mad and save Earth? And now for a special announcement, as Clean God is getting a live-action movie," the announcer continues. "Watch the continuation in theaters across the country soon." "Oh," Goten chimes in, "Man, it's finally getting a movie and I can't wait to see it." "So you really like this stuff, don't you?" Trunks questions. "Well, yeah, Clean God is really cool." "Oh, talk about dated," Trunks adds. "The whole mask and the tights thing. Well, it's that old school feel that makes it really cool. Yeah, if you say so, Trunks says. To which it was only during the next day as Goten and Trunks were then shown having to go to school, as Goten went as far as to spot Trunks, was when Goten then went on to quickly shout, "Hey, good morning, Trunks!" Yo, Trunks responds, "Hey, does your class have a field trip today?" Goten questions. "Where are you guys going?" "Well, we're going to the museum, and so I gotta go," Goten, with Goten responding, "Lucky, man, that sounds like a lot of fun." In which it was only during this time as Trunks and his classmates were then shown having to make their way inside of this museum, we ironically enough see from the outside first before having to go in, a statue of the Otherworld fighter known as Obiru, as of course he was featured during the events of the Otherworld tournament involving Goku, Pikkon, and said company, which it turns out ironically enough more so inside of the museum, we also get to see a golden statue of Master Mutaito as well as many other fighters inside as well, which really gave the impression to go as far as to showcase some of Earth's mightiest warriors during that time, including having to showcase a statue of Hercule and of course Goku, but with one of the teachers indicating that most heroes don't reveal their identities and choosing to kind of go incognito while fighting crime. That is essentially why Goku ends up having a question mark on his golden statue face, which ironically enough at the same time, we know that back during the day, especially during the Cell games, Goku's face was plastered all throughout television, so the world should by now already kind of have an idea as to what Goku's face looks like. But a golden statue of Goku wasn't the only statues that were shown in this museum, because Trunks also went as far as to spot the great Saiyaman as well, aka Gohan. It only turned out a little later on as all of the students went as far as to eat their lunches outside of the museum, where they then spotted a movie production crew and having to shoot the Clean God movie. As the crowd gathered, everything seemed as though it was going according to plan until of course the police ended up showing up, and the moment the cops ended up being on the scene was when the cops went on to tell everyone not to move, simply for the purpose of informing everyone that thieves had came on by and stealing a museum artifact and have tried to escape within the crowd, to which it was only as the crowd went on to point something out in having to notice that some of the crew members were very sketchy. Some of the residing crew members of this supposed Clean God movie on set were actually the thieves, in which they went on to make their identities well known, but even then with one of them not realizing that Trunks was by himself, this one thief went as far as to take it upon himself and having to use Trunks as a hostage in holding him at knife point, with a massive standoff and hostage situation having to occur as the thief went on to tell the cops to stay back, and if they try anything funny then he will take Trunks down. Trunks really wasn't having it, because upon having to be shown removing the knife from the thief's hand before one-shotting him down onto the ground, the cops then began to question as to who this was, or at least what it was that Trunks had done before Clean God went on to spot this, to which it was only just upon with these thieves trying to make their escape, as one of the students was shown being very concerned with Trunks and having to ask if he was okay. Trunks went as far as to tell his classmate that he's really not supposed to interact between actions such as the ones taking place, but had no other choice than to do so, until it was only from out of nowhere, just before Trunks even had the opportunity to act, was when Clean God got in Trunks' way and having to prevent him in stopping these thieves, as Clean God went on to then quickly respond, "You mustn't go and use your powers while your true identity is exposed, boy." And so now I'll take it from here, and take it he did, because as Clean God went as far as to dash on in and having to go and take care of these criminals himself, it didn't really go and take long for both the crowd, the police, and for Trunks to notice that there was something very odd about Clean God that nobody can really put their finger on, to which even with the criminals being shown having to attempt to shoot Clean God, with Clean God being shown catching each and every single one of their shooting bullets, the crowd within the surrounding area, especially Trunks, could not go as far as to believe his eyes as to what he was witnessing take place before him, because it was only with the way Clean God was operating in a very professional and very strategic way that went as far as to shock Trunks to begin with. It almost appeared as though for the first time Trunks seemingly had some sort of a change of heart in having to watch all of this happen. Trunks was actually very taken back by how strong Clean God had appeared to be, to which it was only as one of the other thieves went on to take another person hostage by holding her at gunpoint was when the thief went on to then quickly shout, That's enough out of you! You're no normal actor, now are you? Who are you? Show your face! Show your face now!" With Clean God acknowledging Trunks by then shouting, "Hey boy, do you know why heroes wear masks?" Why? Trunks asks. Well, wait, is it because they think that it makes them look really cool? Well, they are cool, yes, but that's not the only reason, Clean God says. To which it was only then within that very moment was when Clean God went as far as to make his move, because as Clean God went as far as to take down the operating leader, the ringleader of this entire crew by having to beat him up himself, not only was this entire moment involving Clean God being shown having to save the people around him by being shown taking down the thieves. Was this a very important moment for someone like Trunks? But this moment in and of itself went as far as to inspire Trunks, as Clean God was monologuing and having to use all of his scrubby moves to defeat these so-called criminals himself, in which ironically enough, before having to be shown taking down the ringleader all by himself by executing such moves, was when Clean God was then shown having to teleport right next to Trunks by then continuing, "Hey boy, let me go and ask you, are there people important to you?" What kind of question is that?" Trunks asks. But this of course was a moment to which Trunks began to ponder on his friends and family, including Mai, with Trunks beginning to then reflect upon his father, his sister, his mother, his best friend, and his classmates, including Mai, was when Trunks responds, "Yeah, I mean, of course there are. Aha," Clean God responds. "Well, let me just go on and tell you this. For heroes wear masks and keep their identities secret so that they can go and protect their loved ones from evil." To which it was only seconds within this very moment was when Clean God then began to leap back into action by stopping the ringleader and having to put an end to all of this himself, as even with Clean God being shown spinning around and having to create some sort of a whirlpool entrapping the ringleader within it, with Trunks having to watch all of this unfold, this was a very, very valuable lesson for him, because Trunks went from being someone that really wasn't a fan of Clean God to now having to admire him completely, in which with Clean God then shown having to make his move, but by not having the golden mop which he carries with him by his side, it only took Trunks in having to notice this himself, to which he went as far as to grab the golden mop and having to toss it right towards Clean God, which ultimately created a prominent scenario in watching Trunks take part of this in aiding someone that was trying to teach him a very valuable lesson, as it didn't really take long for the Clean God to execute his final move, the Aqua Wash, by then having to put the thief right back in his place, was where we then began to see a POV shot from Trunks' point of view in staring up towards the sky and having to see a visual of the Clean God himself, which Trunks was very, very, very enamored by, as one could even go as far as to make the argument to say that this was the very moment to which Trunks became a believer and a fan of the Clean God, to which in a spectacular shot with Trunks being shown gazing up towards the sky with the water having to be shown raining down all around him, this in fact now was the very moment that went as far as to change Trunks' entire perception and his life seemingly enough forever from this very moment moving forward, and that is simply because later on after school, as Goten was shown making his way towards Capsule Corp and opening up Trunks' window to go and see what he was up to, it was only just as Goten went as far as to do so was when Goten went on to quickly shout, "Hey Trunks, let's hang out." Wait, what? As to Goten's surprise with Trunks being shown playing one of the Clean God video games was when Goten went on to then quickly continue, "Oh hey, you bought the Clean God video game, and I actually wanted to go and play that one too. Yeah, it's not half bad," Trunks says. "Well yeah, this game is what got Clean God started, and so now give me that." "Hey, I'm still playing," Trunks shouts. "Man, this game is so cool. You know, what if the two of us actually did this too?" "Did what?" Trunks asks. "You know, the superhero stuff, saving the world and all." "Well, we already are," Trunks says. No, not that. You know what I mean, like in reality, but, well, you wouldn't be interested in all of that anyways, Trunks." "Well, no, but actually," Trunks says, "and I think I kind of am." "Really?" To which it was only interestingly enough as Bulma was shown walking on by Trunks' room, as the two were shown having to sketch down multiple ideas for their superhero duo. It didn't really take long for Trunks to sketch down multiple ideas, as the two were shown having to pass ideas back and forth, was when Trunks went on to then continue, "Okay, so now first let's go and design costumes so that we can go and keep our identities secret, okay?" "Whoa, costumes? That's really cool. Something like Clean God's, right?" Goten asks. "Well, if we go and copy his, then that'll be cosplay, and so we'll have to switch it up some," Trunks says. "Hey, what about adding stuff like Vegeta's battle outfit?" Goten says. "Papa's? Well, actually, yeah, good idea, and so let's just go and add a touch of that. Goten, do we really need like the tights and the briefs over the top?" "Well, yeah, definitely," Goten says. "I mean, Clean God wears them." "Actually, I kinda was thinking if we can go and skip that, you know?" "No," Goten shouts, "we can't. And I already told you that old school looks cool." Okay, fine," Trunks says. "Well, what about capes? I think that we can go and get away with that, and I want a scarf." "Well, okay, well, I want a cape then, though." "Okay then," Trunks says, "but I guess we'll have slightly different designs then," to which interestingly enough, outside of Capsule Corp, we coincidentally enough get to see how Bulma was handing Vegeta food before he and Whis were shown having to then take off and going back onto Lord Beerus' planet. It didn't really go as far as to take long for Trunks to be shown being done, as Trunks went on to then question. Alright, now what about superhero names? Didn't Gohan go and use a transforming superhero thing? I mean, what was his? Oh yeah, I think it was, the great Saiyaman. Saiyaman, huh? Nice, Trunks says. It's simple, bud. And I still think that we can add an air of mystery to it. Okay, the two of us will be known as... Aha, Saiyaman X. How's that? X? Why X? Oh, come on. Isn't that nonchalant feel cool to it? Okay, but how about this? I'll be Saiyaman X1 and you can be Saiyaman X2. Hey, how come you get to go and be number 1 while I'm number 2, Goten questions? Well, because I'm older, duh. Oh, fine, Goten says. I'll ask Capsule Corp to go and make the suits for us then, okay? To which, moreover, in the meantime, back within Mr. Satan's house, as Hercule was overseeing his students practice martial arts, as Clean God just so happened to have walked in from behind, it was only surprisingly enough, just as Hercule went on to welcome Clean God inside of his dojo, was when Clean God then began to take off his mask, and surprisingly enough, the individual beneath the mask this entire time happened to have been none other than Gohan, as Gohan went on to take off his mask by then responding, "Oh geez, Mr. Hercule, cut me a break with all of this, will ya?" With Hercule responding, "Well, I'm really sorry, Gohan, but my student was supposed to go and play Clean God, but he got sick, so I'm sorry." Well, I did happen to overhear that there was some kind of a big incident that happened, so did it go away, Videl questions? With Gohan responding, yeah, it was fine. There were nothing more than just petty thieves." "Well, that's not what I meant," Videl responds. "Trunks was there, right?" "Oh, that. Well, yeah, that was close, and he was just about to go and fight in front of everyone too, and if people had found out that he has superpowers, then his high school life would have been ruined." "Yeah, I remember what you went through because of that," Videl responds. "And so did he understand?" I think so," Gohan responds. "He didn't notice it was me, so I just started monologuing as Clean God. I scrub out the world's evil. I am Clean God, you know?" With Hercule responding, "Ho ho, a voice changer I see," with Videl chiming back in, "Sheesh, put you in a superhero costume and you totally change, huh? And wasn't that the wrong pose to begin with?" "Oh, what? It was?" Gohan questions. "Yeah, oh well," Videl responds. "Anyway, it won't go and do us any good by having to have Bulma worry over this, so it's best if we all go and keep this a secret, okay?" With everyone responding, "Yeah, oh, and by the way, Videl, isn't it almost time to go and pick up Pan?" Hercule questions. "Oh yeah, see you later, Papa," Videl shouts. To which, interestingly enough, several days later, ironically enough, within the same city, as we just so happened to oversee a police chase take place below, was where the irony began to take place prior to the events of Dragon Ball Super Superhero to begin with, because this in fact ended up actually being the very same day to which Goten and Trunks made their debuts as Saiyaman X1 and Saiyaman X2, which they both went as far as to use a massive billboard cover of Clean God to make their debut by having to show up and popping out from behind it. It was only just after having to go as far as to stop these criminals in track before having to make their debuts as Saiyaman X1 and Saiyaman X2. These events, ironically enough, especially with both of them having to make their debut, actually take place during the beginning of the prequel to Dragon Ball Super Superhero, to which it was only just upon with Goten and Trunks standing forward and just about ready to fight crime within the city was when Dragon Ball Super Manga chapter number 104 then comes to a close. Now, for better or for worse, I'm genuinely happy that the Dragon Ball Super manga has returned after nearly having to take a year off its hiatus following the unfortunate death of Akira Toriyama, but having to watch everything unfold the way it did and watching Goten and Trunks become Saiyaman X1 and Saiyaman X2 really didn't feel as needed as people would assume for it to be, because although it was really awesome to see the way Gohan was their source of inspiration without either of them coming to realize that Clean God was Gohan for the time being, a lot of people, including myself, would ultimately feel the need that this wasn't really necessary to be included within the story, especially following the events of Dragon Ball Super Superhero. But by the end of all of this, I want to go ahead and get your thoughts down in the comment section below in regards to 3 specific questions, with that being question number 1. On a rating scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being absolute trash and with 5 being phenomenal, what would you guys rank Dragon Ball Super manga chapter number 104 on a rating scale of 1 to 5? Question number 2 is, now that the events that went into alongside preceding that of Dragon Ball Super Superhero, what do you think the next big arc within the Dragon Ball Super manga is going to be? And more specifically asking the question on if this is going to be a brand new arc that we're going to be getting later on down the road, or if this is more or less going to tie into the events of having to finally reintroduce Black Frieza. And finally, question number 3 is, now that we understand that Goten and Trunks were indirectly directly inspired by Gohan in having to portray the role of Clean God within the manga? Do you guys ultimately believe that this is somehow going to carry more weight going forward in the future, having the boys find out? Or do you guys genuinely believe that all of this was essentially for nothing? So again, to go back and see some of the filler characters be included, to see even Master Mutaito actually be portrayed as somewhat of a hero via a statue, I think was a really cool thing. Alongside a lot of the art and the action for this manga chapter specifically was really cool, but even now, I'm really hopeful for the future that we're going to be getting something new and hopefully soon. So again, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in, everybody. Thank you all so much for your time, to which once more, if you also just so happen to be new to the channel and of course love Dragon Ball and anime, then I do encourage for you all to head on down below and smash that subscribe button, on top of making sure to give this video a big fat thumbs up by smashing that like button down below. Tune back in for so much more. Thank you all so much for your time, and with all that being said, I will be seeing each and every single one of you down in the comment section below and in the next video. Take it easy, guys, and have a great day. Peace!
Now, I know it might be weird, maybe even a little bit sus, but just trust me, okay? Just shove it in your mouth, Catman.
Say what now? I will do no such thing, Talking Bugman, but what I will do is encourage you all to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming for the latest Dragon Ball content. And while you're at it, make sure to like the video. Also, don't forget to become a member of UnrealEntGaming's Patreon community for more exclusive content, early access, and much, much more. Do it now, or I'll destroy your planet, along with every taco.
Hey, don't just waste the goddamn thing, pass it here!